Hey, welcome back, guys. Among the many images and insights we've been given in Raising Kanan Season 4 thus far, one character status still remains a mystery: Sean Famous Figueroa. After a tumultuous last season, which found Fame at odds with Kanan and struggling to cope with his cardinal sin, there's been mention of him only in passing via dialogue from Lulu, Marvin, Kanan, and Jukebox. Fame, as it stands, has become a ghost in Season 4, pun intended. But how did Famous reach such an uncertain fate? And what are some clues about where he might be? And most importantly, if he'll pop up sometime during this season? We'll investigate all things Famous in this one. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my Patreon family. If you'd like to be the next one, hit the link pinned to the comments below. And lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things Power. Here we go. We last saw Famous under the thumb of law enforcement interrogation regarding the murder of Freddie Williams. Both the NYPD and the feds were trying to get Famous to crack, switch his murder beef into a self-defense charge, and ultimately gain information on Malcolm Howard, who the feds were on vigorously at the time and had previously freed Famous off the books. To his credit, Famous held firm in the tense situation and chose legal representation under duress in lieu of snitching for a lesser charge. That's what we saw, however, and would be the last we'd ever see up to this point. But as we were shown during the Season 4 premiere, everything we saw didn't necessarily result in what we were led to believe. And from different angles, those same events have an entirely different meaning once all the lines are fully colored in. Thus, we could soon be introduced to a flashback situation where Famous cracks under the intense scrutiny, spills all he knows on Howard, his clandestine relationship to Kanan, and worse yet, Rock's criminal enterprise. If these events took place and Rock got wind of it, then Famous's MIA status is an easily solvable conundrum. Remember, Rock killed her most loyal soldier, Scrappy, just for suspecting him of being a snitch way back in Season 2. And don't forget about D-Wiz, whose reckless actions endangered her son's safety and made him expendable. Rock isn't above neutralizing a threat in the name of family protection, and it would just amount to another grievance in the long line of sins she's committed for Kanan from her perspective and against Kanan from his own. Rock would be the most likely culprit because Marvin has only echoed the hearsay portion of Fame's current whereabouts, and Lulu was battling his own demons during the time of Famous's transgressions and subsequent disappearance. These would be the only two culprits that Rock would have enlisted to waste Famous if that's what it came to. Marvin would have been her go-to option, as he'd risen in the ranks of Thomas family importance during that time. However, we did see both of them force Lulu to execute Scrap's mom due to his careless diarrhea of the mouth, but this was a cleanup job more than anything else. The fact remains that if Famous was talking, or even suspected of exposing information against the Thomas family, then he was marked for death from the Queen Pin herself. As the notorious B.I.G. once stated in his classic 10 Crack Commandments, if niggas think you snitching, they ain't trying to listen. They'll be sitting in your kitchen, waiting to start hitting. Famous was known for running his mouth historically, and characters generally referred to this ineptitude in him. For example, Ronnie stated while pressing Fame last season that, quote, "You always talking, so you don't never hear." Back when Famous penned Streets Need a Body, he detailed the murder of Buck 20 while all but implicating Kanan by name. This tendency to talk was only intensified by his internal guilt from the murder he committed. We witnessed Famous experiencing an emotional meltdown of the ages during Season 3, which manifested itself in the form of drug usage, depression, and finally, another confession, musically anyway. His second and seemingly final hit, What's the 411, is a full-blown confessional of his mood and mental state in the aftermath of taking someone's life suddenly. Interestingly enough, law enforcement would need no further evidence in the matter if they simply turned on the radio. And the fact that Famous's most damning song is blowing up in his absence is a different level of tragic irony. His exchange with Lou was particularly alarming in hindsight, as Lou conveyed to Famous that, quote, "Let that truth save you, nigga." This was meant to be a reference to the song in question, 411, but if Famous's MIA status is any indication, he may have finally crumbled under the pressure, spilled the beans on what he knows of Kanan's family and their drug-dealing ways, and split to Arizona to spend the rest of his miserable existence in obscurity. Or worse, when Famous expressed his role in Freddie's murder to Kanan after being released by the cops earlier in Season 3, Kanan told him to never speak on it again, and to, quote, "bury it with you." So if Fame is in hiding, could the pressure have compelled him to commit something even more sinister against himself? In the most recent episode, episode 3, Juke asked Kanan about Famous's whereabouts in a somber tone. Kanan's response held Marvin's account as the official record, which was that Famous left town and that he didn't know what to believe. Then, Kanan chronicles how Famous was scooped up by the police for the Freddie murder and that Fame allegedly talked in order to get out from up under. Kanan then states how no one knows for sure, but the rumors were that Fame got scared for saying too much and bounced as a result, with the police now searching for him. He surprisingly adds that he even spoke to Fame's mom, but she doesn't even know where he's at. And he didn't want to say too much due to possible suspicion if Fame is indeed cooperating with authorities. That means that we could possibly see Fame's mom in an episode to come, as we inch closer to just what his fate truly is. This exchange rules out Kanan as the trigger man and Famous's likely execution. Jukebox seems unlikely as well to commit such an act, as she introduced the discourse about Famous and his well-being, even comforting a doubtful Kanan about where Fame could possibly be. Later, over dinner between Lou and Rilla, the radio plays Famous's cryptic local hit, What's the 411, and Lulu immediately shuts off the station. Upon being questioned by Rilla regarding Famous's whereabouts, Lou states that, quote, Famous is just taking a break for a minute, that's all. Lou then adds, Fame got a lot of feelings. Shit gets scary sometimes, especially when you share them with the world like he does. Could this be further insight into his dearly departed state, allegedly? Even a thinly veiled allusion to snitching, oversharing, and the possibility that Lulu knows all of the above. Ironically, B. Rilla's song may hold the key to Famous's fate. Remember, when he secured his freedom courtesy of Lou, he performed a high-energy record at the club that held some cryptic lyrics upon a closer listen. He rapped that, quote, just killed a nigga I love, it got me real sick. But a snitch is something I can deal with. Famous was a beloved extended member of the Thomas family, and the question remains, if no one's seen him, yet he was suspected of snitching, who would have the motive to remove him permanently? Based on everything we know, again, my guess would be Rock. We know how she views family, and even more how she views loyalty. Her declaration to Erwin in episode 3 confirms as much. We married, Erwin, me and you, for better, for worse, through sickness and in health, all of that. You and me in it for the long haul. Ain't no such thing as divorce between us, cause now you know too much. You've seen too much. Can't let you walk out on me. Famous, arguably more than any other Thomas family associate, knew as much about that family as one could know. And while the lack of knowledge kills a multitude from a biblical perspective, his wealth of knowledge just may be the reason we never hear from him again. But what are your thoughts on all of this? Where do you think Famous is at? Is he still alive, or does he swim with the fishes now? Be sure to drop me your opinions in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.